I never imagined that the person I trusted most could betray me in the cruelest way possible. My best friend, someone I had shared secrets with, laughed with, cried with, had started dating my ex behind my back, and first I didn't believe it. I told myself it couldn't be true, that maybe it was just a misunderstanding, a coincidence. But the signs were everywhere. Texts on her phone I accidentally saw fleeting. Glances, whispered giggles when she thought I wasn't watching. I remember the first time it hit me like a punch to the chest. I walked into our favorite coffee shop, the one we'd spent hours planning future trips and talking about our dreams, and there they were, my ex, smiling, holding her hand. My stomach churned. My heart froze, and every word I wanted to say caught in my throat. People around us smiled, politely oblivious to the storm inside me, some even whispering, "Wow, didn't see that coming," in a tone that felt like gossip slicing through my chest. At home, I replayed everything. The laughter we shared, the secrets we swore would never leave the room, the plans we made, all of it felt tainted. I felt small, betrayed, and utterly powerless. But then a spark of determination lit inside me. If they thought they could humiliate me, they had no idea who they were dealing with. I would not be broken, not by my ex, not by my so-called best friend, not by anyone. I began observing them carefully. Every outing, every social media post, every interaction, I noted it all. People whispered about them, called them reckless, hinted at how unstable their relationship might be, but they laughed it off. Everyone around them seemed to love the drama, the gossip. And I realized that if I wanted to turn the tables, I needed more than anger. I needed strategy. I threw myself into my work, into personal growth, into quiet planning. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. The fewer people knew, the better. Well, they flaunted their relationship. I built my life quietly. Friends noticed the change in me, complimenting my resilience. "You seem so strong," they said. "I don't know how you do it." But they didn't know the half of it. Months went by and the gossip only grew. People whispered, "Did you hear about Alice? She hasn't spoken to her ex or best friend in months." Others said, "I think she's completely lost it. It must be eating her up inside." And yet I smiled politely, appearing calm. Unaffected, they thought. They had won everyone around us, believed the story was theirs to tell. Then came the day I decided to act. It wasn't impulsive, it was deliberate. I gathered proof of their lies, the deception, the betrayal that went beyond a casual relationship. Text messages hidden, conversations and evidence of manipulations. Every detail was documented. Carefully, I wasn't going to ruin them with anger. I was going to expose the truth so undeniably that no one could dismiss it. I remember sitting in my apartment reviewing the messages for the 100th time. "They think they're untouchable," I whispered to myself. "They think everyone believes their lies. Let's see what happens when the truth comes out." The plan wasn't just about exposing them, it was about reclaiming my dignity, showing everyone that betrayal is never the end of the story. I knew people loved drama, gossip, and secrets. I also knew that the world was waiting for the moment when the quiet one strikes back. And then the first ripple went out. I shared a few anonymous hints on social media. People started talking. "Did you see what Alice posted? I heard she knows everything. I wonder what's going to happen next." Gossip spread faster than I expected. The ex and my best friend were oblivious, still enjoying. The public eye unaware that the stage was being set. I spent weeks carefully preparing the perfect moment. I didn't want to humiliate them in public, but I wanted undeniable exposure. Every friend, acquaintance, and social media contact was part of a subtle web of observation, and all the while whispers followed. "Them, I don't think she's letting this go quietly. Do you think she knows Alice? She's always quiet." But I wouldn't cross her. Finally, the day arrived. I invited a few mutual friends for a casual lunch. Nothing fancy, nothing suspicious. And yet every detail was meticulously planned. I knew the exact moment to reveal what I had uncovered, to ensure that no one could argue, no one could twist the narrative. The whispers began as soon as I walked in. She looked so calm. "Do you think she knows I can't, imagine what she's thinking?" And when I started telling the story, the lies, the hidden messages, the manipulations, the betrayal, everyone went silent. Even the most gossip-hungry neighbors and friends froze. My ex and my best friend tried to interrupt, but their protests fell flat against the evidence. Every word I spoke was verified, undeniable, and carefully orchestrated. The shock was palpable. Some people gasped. Others whispered to each other, "I can't believe." This, my ex face drained. Of color, my best friend's confident smile faltered. The whispers around the room shifted. Instantly, I didn't expect her to know she's been planning this all along. Wow, she's unstoppable. I had stayed calm, composed, and patient. And now the gossip. I had once overheard the whispers that once cut me deeply had transformed. They were now my allies, spreading the truth, validating my efforts, and acknowledging the betrayal for what it truly was. The public recognition of their lies was mine, the emotional payoff undeniable. And as I walked away from that lunch, my dignity intact and my spirit victorious, I felt a calm satisfaction. It wasn't about revenge and anger. It was about exposing truth, reclaiming respect, and letting the world witness justice in its quietest, most effective form. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Like this video if you believe patience and strategy always win. Subscribe to Mortal Revenge and hit the bell so you never miss stories of shocking betrayal and ultimate revenge. After that lunch, nothing was the same. The gossip spread faster than I could have imagined. Friends, acquaintances, even casual neighbors whispered in hushed tones, replaying every detail of what I had revealed. Did you hear what Alice said? I never thought she knew all of it. Can't believe how calm she was. It was intoxicating, in a way I hadn't expected, not because I wanted revenge for the sake of cruelty, but because finally, people could see the truth. My ex tried to regain composure, acting like it was all a misunderstanding, but the words stuck. The evidence was irrefutable. Even the people who had once pitied him, who had whispered, "She's probably overreacting," now looked at him with shock and disbelief. My best friend attempted to laugh it off, but the forced smile couldn't hide the tension. "Alice, you really planned all this?" she whispered, her voice cracking slightly. The room, previously full of casual chatter, went quiet. Every eye was on us, and the gossip only grew. Neighbors who had once mocked me, saying I'd never succeed in life, now whispered behind hands, "I can't believe she did that." Friends I thought were indifferent suddenly started siding with me, commenting under the breath I knew she was stronger than they gave her credit for. It wasn't just gossip, it was recognition of resilience. People were finally seeing the real me. Meanwhile, the ex and my best friend became the center of their own scandal. People questioned their loyalty, the ethics of their relationship, and the betrayal that had once gone unnoticed. Conversations that had once been idle neighborhood chatter now carried weight. I always thought she was too good for him. Someone said, "I can't believe she let it go this far without confronting them sooner." Others whispered, "They deserve this." They never respected her. Every remark, every sideways glance reinforced what I had already known I had been underestimated, dismissed, and yet I had quietly built the power to expose the truth. Even at work, colleagues who had once smiled politely at me and whispered, "Poor Alice, dealing with drama," now nodded with admiration. She handled that perfectly. Someone said, "Calm, collected, and totally in control." The social dynamic shifted overnight. I watched as people who had doubted me now whispered in awe about how strategically I had managed the entire situation. Gossip had become my ally, amplifying the truth rather than undermining me. My ex tried to salvage his reputation, posting vague messages on social media. Everyone makes mistakes, some more visible than others, but people only interpreted it as a weak defense. Friends messaged me saying, "Has trying to spin it, but you made him look foolish." Everyone knows what really happened. Even strangers online began discussing it in forums, debating who was right and who was wrong, validating my actions without me having to speak another word. My best friend, on the other hand, struggled. Silently, she had once been confident, gossiping about others behind their backs, laughing about their failures. Now people whispered about her behind her own back. I can't believe she thought she could outsmart Alice. Someone said she really underestimated her friend. Her smile faded in public, and I noticed it, the subtle, almost involuntary reactions as people continued to gossip about the revelations. The social power I had quietly built became unmistakable. Through all of this, I didn't gloat. I stayed calm, focusing on my own growth. I invested more time into personal goals, hobbies, and even subtle career moves. I didn't need to prove anything. With anger, my ex and my former best friend were already unraveling, tangled in the web of gossip. They had once casually participated in people who had once admired their confident facades now, whispered behind their backs, questioning every choice. One evening at a neighborhood gathering, I overheard someone saying, "Did you see the way Alice handled that she didn't even raise her voice? It was like she had everything planned from the start." Another whispered, "I never thought she had it in her. She's calm, smart, scary." Even the mixture of admiration and awe reinforced the power of subtle, calculated actions over impulsive reactions. Gossip had shifted in my favor, painting me as composed, intelligent, and untouchable. Meanwhile, the ex and my former best friend tried to rebuild their social image, but every attempt only reminded people of the betrayal. I thought she was my best friend, she told one person quietly, almost defensively. I had no idea she knew so much, but the whispers around her, fueled by gossip and curiosity, had already sealed the narrative. People speculated endlessly about how much she had known, why she hadn't confronted them sooner, and what she was planning. Next, every conversation only magnified the consequences of their earlier actions. It was fascinating, watching social dynamics unfold. The same neighborhood, same circle of friends had transformed. Entirely, gossip had always been present, but now it became a mirror reflecting truth and consequences. The laughter they had shared at my expense had shifted. The same people who once whispered, "She'll never notice," or "Alice can't do anything about it," now whispered, "I can't believe how cleverly she handled everything." During all this, I maintained boundaries. I didn't post on social media. I didn't confront them aggressively. I let the evidence and the whispers speak for themselves. It was subtle, but the effect was monumental. People remembered my calmness, the clarity in my storytelling, the undeniable proof. Each detail, each carefully preserved message became a story shared quietly but effectively across the social circle. Even my mutual friends who had remained neutral shifted. Some admitted to me later, "We were scared of choosing sides, but now we see who's truly trustworthy." Others confessed, "We underestimated you, but wow, the way you handled everything was brilliant." Gossip, which had once been a tool of humiliation, became an amplifier of respect. And still, through the chatter, through the whispers and the hushed discussions, I focused on one thing: my own growth. I nurtured relationships with people who valued honesty, integrity, and strength. I continued working on myself, quietly building a life that was fulfilling beyond the drama. Every glance, every sideways comment, every whisper about what I had uncovered reinforced that I was not just vindicated, but stronger than I had ever been. The ex and my former best friend tried to continue their relationship publicly, but every interaction was now scrutinized. Gossip followed them like a shadow. People questioned every date, every post, every comment, and while they struggled under the weight of social judgment, I thrived in the quiet satisfaction of knowing that justice, subtle yet undeniable, had been served. Months passed since the lunch where I revealed the truth, yet the echoes of that day still shaped every interaction. Gossip had transformed from a weapon used against me into a mirror reflecting the reality of loyalty, honesty, and patience. People I barely knew approached me subtly, expressing awe. I always thought she was quiet, but now I see she's unstoppable, someone whispered. Even strangers seemed to have heard judging my ex and former best friend more harshly than I ever could. The ex tried to regain some semblance of respect. He posted on social media, carefully crafting messages about misunderstandings and second chances, but the community had already internalized the truth. People no longer whispered about him with casual amusement. They whispered about accountability and betrayal. The gossip that once made me feel small now amplified the lessons he was forced to face. And my former best friend, once admired for her charm and confidence, felt the sting of judgment from every angle. Neighbors, colleagues, mutual friends all had witnessed her facade crumble. I realized that justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers in the ears of those who watched closely, shifts the balance through quiet strategy, and leaves an indelible mark on reputations. The satisfaction I felt was not rooted in anger, but in clarity. Every secret, every lie had been revealed not through confrontation fueled by rage, but through careful observation and well-timed truth. Life began to feel lighter, calmer, and profoundly satisfying. I rebuilt my friendships, choosing people who valued honesty and integrity. I no longer dwelled on the betrayal itself, but rather on how it had reshaped my understanding of relationships. trust, and patience. The gossip that had once tormented me became a testament to resilience. People now whispered she endured. It all stayed composed and won, without raising her voice. One day I ran into a mutual acquaintance who had observed everything unfold. They said almost in awe, "I don't know how you stayed so calm. Most people would have exploded, but you handled it perfectly." Their words reminded me that true strength is quiet, deliberate, and measured. It is not about instant retaliation. It is about reclaiming dignity and showing the world that integrity is a force even betrayal cannot undermine. I reflected on the lessons. I had learned betrayal can come from the people closest to us, but it doesn't define our worth. Patience and careful strategy are more powerful than impulsive reactions. Gossip, while often harmful, can also illuminate truth when used indirectly. Observing quietly, documenting facts, and letting the evidence speak. These were the tools that allowed me to regain control over a situation that initially felt overwhelming. As I walked past the familiar streets where whispers once accompanied every step, I noticed subtle nods of respect, smiles of acknowledgement, and conversations that now included my name with admiration. My ex and former best friend had to navigate the social consequences of their choices. While I had reclaimed not only my dignity, but also my sense of control, the balance had shifted quietly but irrevocably. Looking back, I realized that the betrayal I had suffered became a catalyst for growth. It taught me to rely on my intelligence, resilience, and patience. It reminded me that revenge is not always about anger. It is often about subtle reclamation of truth, dignity, and self-respect. And the gossip, the whispers, and the social scrutiny became a stage where justice played out, not through spectacle, but through undeniable consequence. In the end, the lesson was, clear betrayal may wound deeply, but it can also teach, empower, and transform. Patience, strategic thinking, and calm perseverance allow even the quietest voice to echo the loudest truths. The people who doubted me, laughed at me, or betrayed me now watched as I rose beyond the pain, not with vengeance fueled by rage, but with dignity, strengthened by experience. And as I reflect on everything, one thought remains steady and clear: betrayal does not define you. Gossip does not destroy you, and patience combined with truth is a force that always finds its way to justice.